I think supports have the biggest ego. Look at the support strike, for example.
Just started to repeating all these words Necros said in his videos in my actual games. Like,
if you're getting upset about what someone says to you in a ranked game because you play bad, get a job. I said the word J-O-B.
Welcome to Overthink, my game show where I ask contestants a series of hot takes about games such as Overwatch and Marvel Rivals. If you'd like to be on an episode, please join my Discord server and grab the game show contestants role there. I host these live on my Twitch channel most Sundays, so please go follow me on there to catch a show live. And lastly, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. It's too easy to climb in ranked. We're starting off with a very lukewarm take, apparently. All right, every single person is in hard agree. Okay, who wants to start this off?
I think the system in Rivals, because they started everyone in Bronze 3, it made a really weird distribution whenever the game started. So everyone started in a rank instead of there being placements, and so everyone shot up. And there are players who kind of don't belong where they were because they got into games with people who were better than them, which also pushed them up. And then I think it was this season or was it last season? They had performance-based MMR, which is just bad. If you play Moon Knight, there are clips. If you play Moon Knight, there are people gaining like 35 and they're losing like 12. And then I'll play Mag and he just stat farms. So you gain more than you lose, even if you have a negative win rate.
I think the rank system in Rivals is still a bit broken. I know they try to fix it this season with quote-unquote performance-based elo, but I still think it's like some heroes are like it's subjective, where some heroes get more elo because like they're like stat farmers. I think the game like really needs a like hidden MMR system similar to like what Overwatch has, and I think like instead of starting everyone in bronze, there just like needs to be an actual elo system instead of just it being based on playtime, and the more you play, the higher chance you have of climbing.
That was one of the few things that I really loved about Overwatch. Well, I mean, I loved Overwatch, but like the whole ranking system about it was awesome, where you had to do the preliminary games to already know your placement in the entire, ranked system. I tried Jeff out just to kind of prove to my friends how easy it was to climb. And I mean, I was getting 40, 50 plus points every single game, like literally in bronze. It took me 20 games to get to, 30 games to get to GM. So yeah, a little too easy, dude.
Marvel Rivals should have role queue. For people who have not played Overwatch, role queue is basically you queue for a role and you can't swap. So in Rivals, what that would look like is if you queue for support, you're locked into playing support. If you're queued for tank, you're locked into playing tank, etc. That might sound horrible, like why would anybody want that? But it does help with the issue of like loading into a game and you have like 6 duelists on your team. So people do like it, but in a game like Rivals, it hasn't really ever been a thing. So yeah, I was definitely curious to see what people thought about this one. So all right, let's start with one of our somewhat disagreeers. Who would like to speak?
To be honest, the reason why I said somewhat disagree is because I feel like maybe, just maybe, it could be a necessity in the sense of like how you said, like so people are not like queuing in 6 DPS. Sometimes for me as a tank player, it can be a bit annoying to solo tank. I know it definitely works. Like also, I kind of get why we don't need role queue, because then it will be way too like constricted.
I think if we put role queue into the game, it will mess with the core mechanics of the game way too much. For example, team ups. I think it'll mess with team ups too much, and it will ruin the fun creativity of the game. I like having freedom of being able to run whatever I want, whether that be 1-3-2, 3-3, even 3-2-1. I think these comps are they bring a lot to the game. They bring life to the game instead of just boring 2-2-2 with the same gameplay loop over and over and over and over. I think that's why Overwatch also got stale.
I do not think role queue should be a thing in Rivals ever. I think you can make a slight argument for like suggested like role queues, like maybe it tries to put more like make sure you have a tank player, make sure you have a DPS player, make sure you have a support player. But outside of that, absolutely not. And I even think like that could be, we could try that and it could go freaking terribly. I really also like the freedom, like others were saying, about being able to just like, hey, if my Hela is doing dog, I can just be like, give me Hela, and then take Hela and click all the heads and win the video game. or realize, oh hey, we do not have a second tank player, well I can play Emma or something and then go Emma. That freedom is so nice, and like being able to like flex around and have somebody like strange TP if they die early or something is so much fun. And it takes, if we were to take away open queue and go to role queue format, it would take away so much of the creativity that's in Rivals right now. And like we could say that like, oh, triple support or triple tank is ruining things, in ranked or in competitive, but like tournament competitive, but it's actually not. Like the standard comp in tournaments and such is 2-2-2. Yeah, I think we don't need role queue.
The idea of Chrono Shields is ridiculous.
I agree that it is pretty ridiculous to maintain a rank that you can pretty much pay for. Like it's kind of wild, but I don't know. I don't agree with, anytime I play a game, I lose about 17 to 20 points. And whenever I win one, it's about 30 to 31. I think the whole thing is pretty ridiculous to have, shields helping you whenever you are obviously throwing down like, really bad stats or whatever. It could be the first game, just roll into the next one.
And if you agreed that ranked is too easy to climb in, and you are agreeing, or you disagree that Chrono Shields, or you think Chrono Shields should be in the game, you're contradicting yourself. Because that would make that would 100% make it way easier to climb. Also, I would like to iterate that you can't buy Chrono Shields.
I think it doubles down because everyone starts in bronze. I think it's okay, kind of, to have them. Maybe only in bronze because you gain like 80 elo on a new account anyway. I don't think they should be in the game at all. I think they need to do a placement system and then scrap the Chrono Shields entirely. So I think they're bad, but I think they're okay with the system we have if it was restricted more.
So I feel like I'm one of the outliers here. I'm kind of low ranked. I'm like gold 3. So like you'd think I'd be excited about getting Chrono Shields, but personally, like as someone who wants to try to like actually learn and climb like on my own, like organically, I would prefer like not to really have them in the game. I understand why they want to do that, but personally it's like that's why I was kind of somewhat agreed, because I get it, but also I'm like, I'd rather not have them.
Since Rivals has no placement system, it starts everybody in bronze, and I think the Chrono Shields are a decent way to supplement it, like in place of placements, especially since you can only use them if you're gold under. I've talked to a lot of casual players, and a lot of them usually quit within their first like 10 games of playing ranked, since they get like one bad game or one thrower and then kind of ruins their entire experience. So this kind of helps get more casual players to play rank and like incentivize them to play ranked a little bit more, especially because the bell curve is so bad with the amount of people playing ranked.
Right. Cool.
Might like to say something else. After.
Yeah. Is it like a counter to what they just said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Hop up on there.
We need to think about like the gold players and the silver players. There's a big skill difference between bronze and gold players. And I think if the bronze players can get to gold with no repercussions, it's going to ruin their games too. And they are also casual players. So I think your point is invalid. Goodbye.
I love having a villain on Overthink.
Holy beef. I'm here for this, dude.
Me too. Get me the views. I got rent to pay. All right, to mute. Go ahead.
I disagree with what Gascon says, because I think Chrono Shields, it's not the best that could happen, but it definitely is something that helps. Because there's a lot of new players that are starting ranked for like maybe the first time, and Chrono Shields definitely help you get more confident in that way. And if you have like really bad teammates or just throwers on your team, because you get put in bronze, it's a good way to help you not de-rank as much.
Is there anybody?
Can I say something against that?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't agree with that, because I think the people who are most likely to not take the game seriously and AFK your lobbies are more casual people. I think if people actually care about their rank and the game, they're gonna try, and whenever they try, they're trying to win. These Chrono Shields, it just allows the casuals to AFK your lobbies if you are like a gold or a silver player, and the bronze players use it to climb up.
Right? Anybody have anything that they want to add on to that? Oh yeah, all right. We could just keep going. Just if you have an objection, just say I object and get up there. Go ahead.
All right, Bill, stop. I'm doing that.
I object because there is so many levers, like you said, in silver, but just because there's levers doesn't mean that all Marvel Rivals competitive or non-competitive players should be taken like down their ranks, and I think Chrono Shields really help that, and it does make a difference. Because say like somebody has 3 levers in silver because like you just, I don't know, are stuck in that rank, you can't get out. Chrono Shields will help with that.
Objection.
How about the two of you sit up there and just go back and forth? Go ahead.
Yo, throw a punch, dude. Throw a punch.
I am Gastlin, and
start
I
beefing,
think,
start fighting, go.
I am Gastlin, and I think if you are not winning and 1v9ing in silver or bronze, you don't deserve to get out of that rank. You should be able to, if you're not meant to be in that rank, you should be able to 1v9 there. Unless 5 people are AFK, and if 5 people are AFK, I mean, whatever, like, that's just whatever. I still don't think Chrono Shield should help you get out, and I shouldn't 1v9ing.
I've been in low ranks before on all accounts, and it takes at least 2 people to help you. I had my friend and me play in like silver and gold, and we were barely winning because there was 4 other people on our team that were doing absolutely nothing.
How have I got a 100% win rate on Strange only from bronze to diamond? Solo.
Because you're Giga Smurfing, bro. Come on.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, like, her point is,
Yeah, and
like, you
some
need 2
people
people.
aren't one above
he is also
all,
doing the
like
same
you.
thing. So are
Some
you.
people... Okay.
So you have a hard, you can hard carry on your roll. Way easier than Tank can, by the way.
Yes, and I do. But that doesn't mean that other people can, and other people in silver are
Because they
able to
shouldn't
do it
be
like
getting
we
out
do
of that
because they are still learning the game. And since they're still learning the game, I think Chrono Shields are great to help them learn the game more, so they don't derank if they are having throwers.
I understand your point, but then they get the gold, right? They get the gold, okay? These bronze players get the gold, and the Chrono Shields will run out. Then they're gonna start losing. They're gonna just drop.
Okay.
They're gonna plummet, and that's gonna ruin the gold players' games.
If they plummet, then they plummet.
Because they don't deserve
It's
it.
Only the Chrono Shields are only up to gold, and gold isn't that
the point?
high of a rank, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, the skill gap between bronze and gold is exponential.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well,
But that doesn't mean
thanks for
that they
proving my
should
point.
get rid of Chrono Shields because of it.
I think
But
they
it doesn't
should.
happen to most people when they get out of gold. They usually get up to plat, or like they'll get down to silver and then they'll get all the way back up to plat.
Because the gold players are gold players. They are already there before Chrono Shields. Therefore, they know how to play in gold, and they can grind 2 plat from gold. The bronze
There was
players will
Chrono
not be
Shields
able to
at the start of
grind.
the game. What do you mean before Chrono Shields?
What do you mean? There's been Chrono Shields since the start of the game.
It's been since
We're talking
it's
about-
been here since
with-
season 0.
These Chrono Shields
Not in
are
the way that
different.
you're thinking about. Yeah, these Chrono Shields are different. Well, you could just get them. You don't like earn them. You just get them. Regardless, like however you get these Chrono Shields, I don't think they should be in the game. I don't think they should be in the game. I think it'll ruin the players like silver, gold, plat even, if they manage to get there. Like I think it'll ruin their games, and I think the game quality will plummet for those players too. Because I do think there is a big gap between in skill between bronze and gold and plat. 100%.
But the people
that's all I have to
who
say.
are doing worse, they lose the Chrono Shields faster than anybody else would.
Yeah, but they're still in that rank. It doesn't matter if they're losing the Chrono Shields faster. Like, they're still there, ruining other people's games because
But
they
they
shouldn't
don't
be
stop
there.
you from
The same thing
deranking.
happens in our ranks, by the way. Like, let's go back to season 1.5, okay? We didn't do a rank reset, so all these GM players managed to get into Celestial/Low Eternity, 300 points, and now, after the rank reset, on the new season, all the games were exponentially harder because people who weren't meant to be there were there. And it's going to be the same for these people in gold. It's the same thing. But that's all I have to say.
Yeah, can I hop
Yeah.
in?
Yeah, whose side are you on?
With 2 mute.
Oh, shit. All right,
Oh,
2v1,
2v1, all right.
Well, no, I just like want to say this one. My point earlier was that there's no placements in the game. I kind of feel like that, like the bronze to gold elo is more so like supplemental as a placement area rather than like an actual rank. Since a lot of the bronze to gold players, like there's still a lot of new players like coming into the game, and I feel like a lot of those games will get ruined by just people who are significantly better at like shooter games or just like FPSs in general. It's like starting out. So I don't know. I think those elos experience a significant amount of smurfs for me to be able to like consider it like a competitive elo within itself. If you understand what I'm saying.
I don't think it's a
Skill-wise.
competitive elo. I think it's a casual elo, but they all have their own skill. They all have their own skill discrepancies. Like Bronze, I think when you say like new players, I think bronze and silver will be the cap for new players. I think there's a lot of gold players, maybe plat and plat players, but we're talking about gold because that's what the cutoff is. I think there's a lot of gold players in the game that play the game regularly and grind to get out, but obviously they can't for their own reasons. I think the new player, like I said, I think the new player cap definitely like cuts off at silver max.
Yeah, I could see an argument for them changing like the Chrono Shields from bringing it down from gold to silver. Like, that would still like make sense for the game still, but I still think the Chrono Shields are like good for the player base as well. Since I know like a lot of casual players who like playing, and it's from like Overwatch, they like playing ranked because at least like it incentivizes everyone in the lobby to try a little bit rather than it just being a for fun, nothing matters, there's nothing on the line. So it's like they're admittedly bad at the game, like they're bronze, they know that, but they still like having the feeling of trying and like having something to like lose or gain, and it's kind of like morale crushing when you like have to like lose elo off of like a thrower or like a smurf in your lobby.
So I want to iterate. I don't think that Chrono Shield should be going down to like silver because I just think they should be removed overall because I think they will ruin the integrity of ranked completely. I can understand like smurfing, but like people who go into ranked know that there is a gain and a loss, okay? Always. That you should always understand that, okay? And if you don't want that gain or loss, or you know that your motivation is going to be crushed because you're losing in these ranked games and you want to grind, you should just go to quick play and practice in quick play. You can practice your mechanics, your micro, and you can understand all these like different characters and how they work in quick play. You don't have to go into ranked. And I just genuinely think like even if they are in the lower ranks, like these Chrono Shields, I do think like it just ruins the integrity because there are people who want to grind in these low ranks and want to get better, but they just can't.
But yeah, I'm just gonna like last point is like kind of like what you said earlier, where it's like it's a casual elo, so I don't think it necessarily impacts the integrity since the elo itself is already so casual. I think it just benefits the people in that elo and playing in that elo, since people who want to climb, they will climb out of it eventually. Like they can climb out of it. But it's like for the people who are wanting just to play ranked, it's gonna give them a better experience, and I think like increase player retention for the game.
Yeah, I still think it's bad. I'm going to stand by that. I think I 100% I can conclude that having Chrono Shields in the game will ruin the integrity of ranked. I don't know any other game that does that.
So is this gonna be a agree to disagree?
Can I say something like super fast before we move on?
Yes.
Okay. I think that just because these players are lower elo than us and they're not sitting in top 30 lobbies like we are, they should not, like, it shouldn't be that way. Like, if the Chrono Shield, because whenever they announced the Chrono Shields, everybody was on Twitter complaining about them because they thought they were going to be in high rank. What makes these people any different? Just because they're worse than us, they don't deserve the same amount of integrity? Like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more casual, but that doesn't mean there aren't players who are getting a start and they want to learn and improve and get better.
The support strike was unnecessary. Is there anybody here that is unfamiliar with the support strike?
If you have a lore drop, I'm sure chat would appreciate a lore drop.
You know what, Aramori, if you insist, go ahead, explain to everybody.
Okay, from what I understand, the support strike was basically because strategist players thought they were being treated unfairly in their games. There was not enough people willing to play strategist. People were getting mad at strategist players because they Necros claimed they all suck and were terrible and boosted, and they felt really underappreciated, and they decided, you know what, you guys can't play your video game without us. So they decided to go on a support strike that may or may not have actually happened or been real. That's my TLDR.
So we have, I think, 5 people in agree, 2 people in somewhat agree, 1 person in somewhat Pleo, pick a damn stance, brother! Alright, cool. Alright, 1 person in somewhat disagree, and then 1 person in disagree. Let's start with our agreeers.
I've already talked about this a lot, but I just find it silly that you would like go on strike in a video game to prevent your team from having fun because you feel that you are being like mistreated by the like big streamers or whatever it is. I do think there is merit to like if you're not having fun on the role, I think it's fine to switch up and play something else. But I feel like the vast majority of people just felt like they were like, "Mommy, he was mean to me. Like, tell him to go time out," you know? It just felt very childish to me in general.
I think the support strike was the most janitor thing I've ever seen. You people need to go outside. Go outside, man. It is a video game. It is a competitive video game. People care. They're gonna get mad. If you're getting upset about what someone says to you in a ranked game because you play bad, get a job. I said the word. J-O-B.
I'm kind of like with like taking like more like literally with like what Necros was saying, where he was calling like a lot of like support players bad. It's more so I don't think like support players like the support players like last season were bad. I think it was the elo inflation, where I think support has a lower skill floor compared to the other roles, but I think it has a really high skill ceiling, and I think it's really apparent with like MRI and MRC, or support has a really high skill ceiling, but I think it has a really lower skill floor. So I think there was a lot more support players that were just kind of playing, and then their elos were getting inflated, and then they're getting into higher elos with support players who are just genuinely better, and then that would like a clear like skill gap would like be like present there, and that would kind of like throw like things off in ranked, and that's kind of like I think a lot of people that kind of set people off on calling support players bad.
So the reason I'm not in like totally agree and just in somewhat agree is because I think that Necros maybe took it a little bit too far, and he definitely deserves some heat for what he said. Like, he was like, "All strategist players are dog and boosted." I don't know the actual quote, but it was pretty much along those lines. And he was like, "If you play support, you deserve to burn in a fire." And and it kind of makes sense that people were not super happy with that. Do I think it's worth going on a strike for and making your ranked teammates pay for? No, probably not. But I do think he deserved a good amount of the not hate, but like backlash, I guess he got for that. Yeah, other than that, it was pretty silly. Strategist was definitely a lot harder at the start of this season. This is something I talked about before at length. Of like when Marvel Rivals came out, the video game was very like front to back, right? So you played a fight, you shot the tanks, your tanks either lived or died, okay? And then, you know, you went to next fight, right? You got your ulti, went to next fight. Now it's very like engage dive heavy, and usually like we'll have fights where your tanks don't get punished super hard. Like you've had people that go straight for your backline, like we're playing against like Venom Spider-Man, we're playing against like Magic players, like Iron Fist is a lot better this season, Psylocke's a lot better this season. So those characters don't necessarily shoot tanks, and I think for a lot of players that didn't play in the alpha and the beta, they have this idea in their head that, hey, Marvel Rivals is a very like shoot the tanks game, and I just sit back the whole game and I just heal. And then when this season hit and they started getting pressure, it was like, I can't say what I want to say, but it was really bad for them, right?
Say it!
I can't say it. I fucking
It's a bad
canceled.
word.
Say
It's a
it!
bad word.
It was really bad for them, okay? So this whole like mindset of how the game was supposed to be played for them was totally gone. They're like, what happened to my Marvel Rivals? This is not the game I signed up for. And they ended up getting really upset about that as well. And then people are saying it's your fault because you're terrible, which is kind of true a little bit. Yeah, it was just a way too big of an overreaction to how the meta changed, I think.
Aramori, you should be on my side because I completely agree with you, first of all. And second of all, supports last season felt in this season too felt miserable to play because of the somewhat dive meta in metal ranks. Spider-Man, Black Panther, Magic players, Psylocke players. Dive meta was very strong in metal ranks, and in not only metal ranks. Yeah, you're right. And this support strike initially started because of a high rise of toxicity and negativity in the whole Rivals community. And Necros just made things far worse. Like actually a lot of people, especially Spider-Man mains, people that play DPS characters that watch Necros, they just started to repeating all these words Necros said in his videos in my actual games, like GG, no heals, Necros was right, you actually brain dead, and like etc. etc. Like he just amplified this negativity and toxicity in actual games. Like genuinely, I had games ruined by Spider-Man players.
I feel like you should be the new host of Overthink. Your voice is so much nicer to listen to than mine.
That's what I was saying.
Hey!
Big
Their
agree,
voice
big
is
agree.
so
Whoa,
nice.
whoa, okay,
Yeah,
I thought you were
very
saying
nice.
that her voice is nicer. I was like, whoa, just because it's true doesn't mean you don't gotta say it. Just kidding.
Probably should have been in the somewhat category, but I think that the negativity was wrong. But I also think, I think that it weeded out the shitters. The true support players kept playing support for me and kept me up. And if you weren't one of those people, fuck you.
Jeff's rework was needed. Everybody look at the disagree section real quick.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
You'll notice anything? All right, stop squirting on everybody, okay? All right, we'll get to you. All right, let's start with the agreeers.
That little rat over there on that staircase, all right? That guy is a 3rd DPS who is immortal. He just exists to make your life hell. You can't kill him. He just randomly was 2-tapping your backline. I hated it. I don't think his rework is it though, but I do think he needed something.
Even in my rank, in my diamond/plat lobbies, I can't kill. Nobody can kill Jeff at all right now. He's just immortal. You can't kill him when he's under the ground. And as a strategist player, I can't deal with this monster in my backline, always hitting me, trying to kill me, trying to bait my abilities, my cooldowns, and my team just, ignores him and says, just ignore him, because they also can kill him. So it's the actual strat against Jeff main right now, before rework, that you should just ignore him, and it's so annoying to deal with Jeff. So this rework it was a must. Thank you.
I think the Jeff rework is going to be really good for the character. I am still in slightly agree though, because I do think he has a very unique identity as it is right now. That kind of puts him in the category of not really being a support character. He's definitely a DPS character that's just camouflaged as a support right now. The only time that you really see him in pro play is when people are playing triple support, and he just kind of runs around and essentially does what Tracer in Overwatch does, and just kind of lives perma forever. It distracts people. It is just pretty much unkillable and just puts his hands all over the backline. Jeff right now is a wanted criminal in 9 different countries for manslaughter and arson. And he really is just completely unkillable. So he has a super unique identity. I think it's a pretty cool identity, but it needed to be changed, I think. I'm curious to see how it's going to work for him going to this more utility-based strategist rather than unkillable demon in your backline, but that's why I'm only slightly agree. I do think it is needed, but it is kind of strange to me that they are taking away his whole identity.
I actually think they should have just tried to nerf it a little bit first before going full rework, because I don't... Or something they could have done, which would have been a little silly, is just put him into DPS, because I actually think it's a bit of an interesting character that Rivals doesn't have much of, which is just the perma flankers, literally perma in backline. I think there was more interesting stuff they could have done than this, but I don't hate. It definitely needed to be changed. I think I would have just rather had them try and tune it down a little bit than just insta rework it.
I don't care about Jeff. However, I think that all it is the gameplay shift. I think the character is still busted and the team up is even more busted, and you should just be happy. Okay?
The change, it was not really needed. I don't really care about it. It's not that much of a deal to me personally. I don't think Jeff changed that much. They only changed really his primary fire, and that's it. I think he's honestly better now than he was before, and you should be happy with it.
Yep. Haters, dude, haters. Oh, god damn it. Okay, there we go. So, biggest things, and I'm literally pulling out, hi guys, I'm Cleo Shep. I'm pulling out the biggest actually, but guys, this rework isn't just a rework. It is a complete shift for the entire character and the entirety of how you guys are going to see a third flex DPS and support. Bro, this stuff sucks. They reduced his HP bubbles down to 3 instead of 5. It takes longer for him to get a heal in that shift. It's a Jeff. He already has pretty lower mobility as is. His damage, right click, doesn't actually even do anything for the big bounce up. It has like some kind of splash. There's so much that has been done to the fun of this support character. And now, whenever you guys are getting just absolutely dived on by an Iron Fist, a Magic, anything like that, dude, y'all are gonna get squashed. And Jeff is just done. He's done for, dude. He has a damage function on his left click that does like 70 HP per second, but that's at 20 meters. But the second that anybody else's collision, an enemy or anything like that, it's just gonna hit their enemy. It's crazy. It's crazy, dude.
Pat is saying there's a criminal in the stand. What do you have to say against these allegations?
Rose lying in front of the judge is really funny.
You're getting absolutely cooked by
That's
chat.
perjury.
Hey,
They do
that's
not
fine.
like Jeff players.
That was like a
that is
molten
fine. Most
bait.
people do not like Jeffs because they are menaces right now. You know, I totally understand that. They're crazy. They're I don't fully agree, but where I do agree is that they're shifting this character. What they should have done is just nerf his stuff. Just nerf his stuff. He is way too crazy. You should not have a character like this guy that can pop 6 bubbles at him to give him the instant heals that he gets. He is crazy. I mean, I took him to GM very quickly just because, but that's just not, that doesn't warrant a complete shift in what the character actually is. This is the craziest thing, dude.
All right, cool. Head back to your stands, Cleo.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
say something? Of course, I chose neutral, but this rage bait is about to make me agree. All right. So Jeff's identity hasn't changed at all, by the way. I have been lucky enough to be able to play in the early access, and he is still really, really strong. He just does his job now. His identity is still the same. Jeff's identity is shoot out big stream of heal and damage, and he still has his damage, his right click. He still can swim for fucking ever. He still gets his heal, like his movement boost. Like, he is still OP. And now he has an even more OP team up, bro. He could fucking one-shot everyone, and no one could do anything about it. Not a single person. Enjoy, brother. Have fun. Have fun. All right, bye.
Placements would make the ranked system better. Yeah, not much of a hot take, huh?
So actually, I don't know if I have much experience to speak up on this because when I used to play Overwatch, like the most I had was like 9 hours in ranked. Like I just started getting really into ranked like now. But I do feel it could really work because like that it's like I know exactly what placement I am, you know what I mean? Like here we start off right at bronze. We start off right at the bottom. But like if we did placement matches, I could find out, am I really bronze? Am I really gold? Am I really like plat? You know what I mean? And it would be way more helpful. And it could also like really help dealing with like the smurfing issue as well.
I think the game is really, really bad without the rank system. Wait, I'm Haluk, but I think the game is really, really bad without the placement system. I think it's just sucks in general for anyone starting to play the game, or just if you make a new account, or just like the player curve. It is just an awful experience for everyone. I think the game would also just like look a lot better from an outside perspective if like the bell curve was a little fixed, because it kind of sucks like seeing it be like bronze is like 3 million players in it, and then it goes down to like 10k in the next rank.
Duelist players have the biggest egos and the most entitlement.
I think that Duelist players do have a huge ego. And since I'm the only Duelist player here, I think only my opinion matters here. I am super egotistical. There's a lot of egotistical people that play Duelists. There's my friend Sev, shout out. But he's super egotistical. I'm super egotistical. Everybody that I meet in this game that play Duelists, they're super egotistical.
I do think Duelist players have a pretty good ego, and I think it's kind of like undeserving depending on the hero that you play. I actually said this in the Overwatch version of the game show, but I think if you are playing a character like Hela and you have an ego, you need to go like outside and touch some grass, I think. Like the point and click heroes are so easy. You just sit there and you click on the heads, and if somebody gets on top of you, you go, "Oh no!" and you throw your stun or you burn out. It's so easy. Like, come on. But if you're playing a character like Psylocke or Magic or something that actually requires you freaking get in there and get physical and think about cooldowns and really think about your positioning and like all these different factors that takes to be a really good, like, I guess I would say like flex DPS, maybe, then I think it's a little bit more deserved. Like, it's pretty freaking hard to do those things and be pretty good at it. And I think out of all the roles, I do think, what is it? It's not Vanguard. What's it called? Oh. Out of all the roles, I do think Duelist players probably have the most ego out of everybody. But for some reason, I also think strategist players have like a weird inflated ego as well.
So, as a flex player and strategist, I can see that there's a lot of egotistical DPS players, well, in quick play, in ranked match, that just don't want to switch in any way, in every situation where we need at least 2 tanks. We have 1 tank because people took 3 DPS, or if we have only 1 support, they don't want to switch. They never want to switch. So, as a flex player, I can say, sorry, they never switch. They're too egotistical. They always think they're always better, even if they are not. Even they go negative. They always saying that it's our strategist support team that is tank team, but they never admit that they're wrong. Never. Even if they go negative, they will always blame the heroes.
I think it's the support players. I think, like, the support players are always the ones who start flaming others whenever things either A, they don't die, B, tanks don't take space, or anything of the sort. Whenever a lot of the times, most of the problems are going to circle back around to the backline. Like, tanks can't walk forward because the backline is busy, I don't know, like, staring at each other the whole game whenever nothing's happening, or they're busy typing permanently. And DPS players, honestly, they're the ones who are not in voice, not typing anything. There's no ego there. Like, those are the people who just don't talk, they just play. Like, yeah, they're not going to swap, but, like, at least the support players are not, like, inflated elo-wise and always, like, they always type, they always talk, always.
I think supports have the biggest ego. Look at the support strike, for example. Why would they have a strike if they didn't think they were good? Why didn't they just listen?
I am very interested to hear what you guys have to say on this, especially because I think we have a few people that this applies to. Marvel Rivals is a less viable esport than other titles.
I think Rivals is less viable right now. Later down the line, whenever they put more into it and there's more things, I think it can be viable. But as it stands right now, I don't feel like Rivals is taken seriously enough for an esport to flourish. B, I don't think there's enough. I guess it's different now with MRI, but MRCs, the grand prize pool was like 13.5, I think, for like first place. Or no, that was the whole tournament was 13.5, which really doesn't like cover almost any expenses, because like esports already is like a net loss. So like there's not a lot for the orgs who come in. We finally got our first big tournament after like 5 months. The game's on UE5 and it kind of runs terribly, so the barrier to entry is also very high if you don't have a good computer. And so it makes it to where I think that like with Overwatch, with Counter-Strike, all of those games have big player bases that were very into them and they could see the games and log on and play them. And with Rivals, it's very, very hard to get those people on the game whenever for some people the game runs at 30 frame rate.
Hello, I am Armory. I'm the strategist player for Sentinels, Marvel Rivals. And yeah, I don't think that Marvel Rivals right now, from a viewer standpoint, is like does well as an esport. So like not even talking about like the money that's being put into the scene, not even talking about like the orgs, or like Sky was talking about how it's hard to run on a lot of people's like consoles or PCs. Just from like sitting down, I don't know anything about the game, or maybe I've played it once or twice and I want to watch the finals of like a big tournament, right? If I'm going to watch the finals of a Marvel Rivals tournament versus the finals of a Valorant tournament or a Rocket League tournament, I am not going to know what is happening in the Rivals tournament, right? There's so many fights in this game that are so confusing. We have triple res comp that has like, the fights never end, right? And there's people who die, and then oh, they're back, and there's people who die. And as like a casual viewer, right, if you're watching that, it's awful to consume. You're like, oh, what is happening? What is happening? Right? It's so confusing. And then if you're like a Rocket League enjoyer, they throw the ball and they get it in the net. Woohoo! That's so easy to understand, right? Same thing with Valorant, right? Like, sure, there's some more flashier abilities and they have smokes and all that kind of stuff. But me, as somebody who's never really played Valorant, I can sit down and I can be like, oh, we killed that guy. Oh, we died, right? Like, it's pretty simple. But the average casual player is not going to be able to sit down and understand what the heck is going on in Marvel Rivals. It is really, really bad, and they need to fix it somehow. And I don't even know if it's like a fixable thing, right? And that's kind of what scares me for the esports of Rivals. But yeah, so not even like talking about money or like orgs or things about it, just watching the game like top down, it is really, really hard. And Overwatch has the same issue.
I'm not really an esports viewer. I don't really watch any esports like Overwatch League, Valorant. This is not for me. But I was hopeful that in the future, Rivals, esports Rivals will do much, much better than Overwatch League. Overwatch League was very, very bad, especially in recent years, as I heard. I hope that Marvel Rivals will be better in this, but I personally don't really have an opinion here because I just don't watch esports and I don't watch any leagues.
I somewhat disagree. I think that Marvel has quite literally one of the most expansive universes out of like literally everything that you can see. Hopefully I'm not trying to like start beef or anything, but I totally agree that Armor, like what she said about, Overwatch and the visual clutter, it's the exact same thing. I can't even look at Overwatch nowadays and like to figure out, because I haven't played it in about a year or so. Looking at what's happening, it confuses the hell out of me. Stadium, dude, forget about it. I'm like, what? So it's fun. And I think that there's a lot of really good stuff. The game Marvel Rivals hasn't been out a full year. There's so much to flesh out from all of it. I somewhat disagree.
I agree that currently it doesn't look great, but I do think it has the potential to be very big. It just depends a lot on their marketing of it. And Ara was talking about how like the clutter is really bad, and it's terrible. It's really bad. I think if they wanted it to be viable, they would have to work on that. I just don't know how much they're going to with like the how casual the game is. But I do think it has like insane potential with how much like backing it has, like from all studios that are involved.
I think that Rivals is heading in the right direction for an esports. I know like Armor like mentioned earlier, like visual clutter. I think Overwatch had the same issue, but I think Overwatch was still booming in that factor. I've tried watching League as a viewer. Also, like it's a bit cleaner, but like visual clutter is like also like still really apparent in like that game as well. It's still one of the biggest esports. I think it's really hard. Again, like also Valorant. I think it's really hard to reduce visual clutter in team-based games like this, where there's so many abilities and like smokes and things going on that like change the map, and so it's really hard to like circumvent that. But I think Rivals is doing a great job. I think the money that's being poured into it is very good. I know Sky mentioned at the start where there was a little money at the beginning, but I think that's pretty obvious, where it's just like you can't dump in a bunch of money when everyone's like kind of new. It's just it's a waste of money. I think they did a great job with the MRI, inviting in teams and like getting orgs to come in, making the game a bit more popular and like exciting for people, because people want to like have teams to like root for and cheer for, especially with the expansion of new Ignite tournament and the upcoming LAN that they teased on Twitter. I think it's heading in a very positive direction. I think I saw on Twitter, I'm not sure if it's right or not, I think ESL or FaCe is also getting involved with helping run the tournaments, which is also really, really promising, as ESL and FaCe is the ones that run DreamHack. So I think as an esports compared to everything else is one of the biggest like prize pools going on as well, where we had the Overwatch inaugural season was I think $4 million, the grand finals, or like for the grand prize, where this is like $3 million for the first season. So I think it's going in a really, really good direction to be like viable for players and that's like a esport in the space.
Is there anybody that would like to change their stance after hearing others speak?
Yeah, after hearing Armory and Sky say their piece, personally, I do think that if they don't fix these issues of like the optimization, I mean, I don't have the best PC, my game still runs though, but like a Moon Knight will throw it on his Ankh and boom, I lag out and I'm dead in like 2 seconds. I don't even know what's happening. So like I definitely think like with optimization and all the clutter and also like they do seem to take like concerns from the community very well, but sometimes those concerns might fall like not flat, but like sometimes I feel like people complain just to complain. So I feel like one, if they don't fix the optimization, and two, if they listen to the wrong concerns and criticisms, it might not make it as viable.
I changed my mind partly because of what Haluk said, because it also it made me like start thinking, because he and we played on a team together in like season 0 of MRC. And like it kind of reminded me of like the success that we saw around season 0 whenever we played. So like I think there is the potential for there to be success, but I'm not sure if like I could put my full faith in it. Is my main thing, which is why I like more lean towards I don't know.
Let's go.
You missed! You missed!
To the 1, to the 1, to the 3. I play easy mode and I play to win. I love to die and I like to BRB. All systems checked out. Group up with me. 2 to the 1, to the 1, to the 3. I'm here to party. GG. A giant gorilla can keep up with me. You can't be serious. I'm